goes south of China, right?
Speaking of pigs,
It's
kind of more east.
Southwest?
East.
Southeast.
more east.
Okay.
Up a little.
Up and east.
As clarified before, I am the only one who has not been to Asia on this table. Jono has.
Get a map.
I have. Anyway, speaking of Asia and China, North Korea, right?
We're all the same, aren't we?
Yep. You guys might remember in the
know
last...
where you're from.
I don't really know. My parents are from Malaysia somewhere.
Wow.
That's right on.
Is that not the answer then?
Malaysia, China, but they're Chinese somewhere. Anyway,
Well,
go on.
I hear Malaysia is truly Asia.
That's what they say.
It is.
oh my gosh.
I don't think they're very happy about that.
What's going on? What's the latest Malaysia news,
China's
Jono?
not happy about that.
China's not happy about that. No, but they're so uniform. Malaysia has a bit of everything. They got Indian people.
They have. It is interesting
They have
because they
Indian
are
people.
literally everything.
I was very confused because Tamil is one of their national language.
Man, it's like roti is part of their is part of their
Nah,
a lot of their meals.
What about Taiwan, guys?
Yeah.
Are we just talking about Asian countries now?
Gosh.
So...
Sorry.
Korea.
Okay, getting back to the point. Korea, you guys might remember in the last year since Donald Trump took over, it's been like a roller coaster,
A
right?
Twitter war.
Roller coaster.
Yeah, there was Twitter war. There was Trump calling him Little Rocket Man,
Little rocket man.
saying that he was
Man.
fat, basically saying that his rocket is bigger than Kim Jong Un's. There was also a lot of tests. There was nuclear tests, and there was a lot of ICBM tests, so intercontinental ballistic missile tests.
ICBMs.
Yeah, and they went far, those BMs. So they actually seem to... They've basically gotten to the point now where they have nukes and they could reach America, or they could feasibly make America worry that they could do that. Whether they could hit their target is probably a completely different story. But over the last year that's happened, and it was escalating. It seemed like we're getting closer to the point where Trump would have like bombed them or something. But in the last month, things have actually gone turned around. So so the South Koreans, I think it was like 2 months ago, they announced that Kim Jong-un was willing to meet Donald Trump. Now you might remember back to the campaign for the 2016 campaign, Donald Trump during the campaign had said, yeah, I would meet Kim Jong-un. I would sit down with him. He would like get a burger with him. I think that's what he wanted to do. It was McDonald's or something like that.
Is it a coincidence that the Kanye stuff and this is happening at the same time?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a lot of Trump stuff. There's always a lot of Trump stuff. Like every week is a lot of Trump stuff. Do you guys remember when the president wasn't that big a deal in everyone's lives? Like it wasn't half of the news.
Yeah, it was all yes we can, and then I didn't hear about him again for 8
Yeah,
years.
and then it was just like...
Oh, Trump's been good
blah,
for
blah, blah.
news. That's he's
Good?
selling a lot of papers.
Maybe.
Good for the news
Who buys
business.
papers?
I don't know. His subscriptions are probably up.
Yeah. I feel like long run though it's bad. But anyway, so you remember so basically the South Koreans were like, they'd been in negotiations because they got a new president. And he's very pro let's not go to war.
It's not antagonized. And all.
Yeah, he was all about making peace, reunifying. You're seeing him here in this footage. This happened last week on Friday. So Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea, and Moon Jae-in, president of South Korea, met in the demilitarized zone.
Is this unprecedented?
Yeah, Kim Jong-un is the first. He's the first North Korean leader to step foot in South Korea.
He's on South Korea there.
Yeah,
right?
he stepped over the line.
Yeah.
That's really
Crossed
nice.
the line.
Isn't that nice?
It's awesome.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, okay, well, we'll get to it. But anyway, it is huge. And before this meeting had happened, they'd said, we're going to close down our nuclear test facility. We're suspending all our big missile tests. Basically, the way he announced it was like, we are confident we have the capability now. So we don't need to do any more tests.
And the Winter Olympics.
Oh, yeah, and the Winter Olympics stuff happened. So that was kind of like towards the beginning of the Thor Ragnarok. No, sorry. I couldn't leave Thor there without saying Ragnarok.
I was going to say something, but I didn't want to distract from you.
I'll do it myself. Thank you very much.
The thawing tensions.
Yeah, the thawing intentions. So you remember they were at the Winter Olympics,
Oh.
He sent his
And
sister.
the North Koreans and the South Koreans had a combined women's ice hockey team.
Yeah.
Mm.
I
And-
didn't know that.
Yeah, and they were competing, and they had cheerleaders, and
That's
they were
cool.
there, and
And they
the
walked
sister of Kim
together.
Jong Un was there,
Mm.
and was sitting right near Mike Pence, who refused to shake her hand. It was pretty funny.
Classic.
What a side eye.
But anyway, so they're actually trying to organize a meeting now on the back of this meeting, this historic meeting in South and North Korea, where they're basically saying we both want to move towards an actual peace because they're technically still at war. They want to move towards peace. They don't want to have any war. They don't want to have a nuclearized Korean peninsula, and they want to reunify in the long term. So they basically all came across with like, these are all our goals, and
So
they're
they-
both on the same page, saying they're on the same page.
So they did want to unify.
Yeah, both Koreas have always said they want to unify.
Right.
It's
okay.
guess it's just a question of who's in charge when you do
Yeah. I see.
that. So you kind of that you do need to temper this with a bit of like realism.
Mm.
It has happened before that North Korea's come to the table and said a bunch of stuff about we're not going to do any more testing and all this sort of thing. It's kind of in the past it's been part of a cycle.
Mhm.
So they'll go through the periods of like, we're doing nuclear tests, we're trying to advance our missile program, we're under sanctions because no one wants us to do that. And we keep doing the tests to the point where they go, all right, if you come to the table, we'll remove the sanctions, we'll give you aid, we'll give you all this stuff if you stop doing these tests. So they'll do that. They'll say they've stopped doing all that stuff so they can get the aid, so they can get the sanctions lifted.
Yeah.
And then they'll kind of go back to doing it again. Because over time everyone forgets about North Korea because they're not really important to anyone. They're not in a part of the world that at least America cares about because they don't have oil. So I think over time, if they were actually not causing a fuss, if they weren't causing problems for anyone, everyone would basically stop thinking about them, but then they would also like starve, I guess.
Yes.
So it seemed like in the past it was part of their strategy to get people to give them aid, was to do stuff that was bad, that then it was part of the negotiation strategy. It's like, okay, we'll stop doing the bad stuff, like testing nukes and stuff, so that you'll give us things.
But they're still bad.
But it was always the intention of the Kims, so his father and grandfather before him, to get nuclear weapons.
Mm.
Because that's basically the underlying strategy, is that we won't come to the negotiating table unless we have the ability to hurt you the way you have the ability to hurt us.
Mm.
So America's always had the ability to destroy any country in the world at any moment with the press of a button, right? So North Korea's stated aim was always to be able to do the same thing.
Mm.
Not to the same extent, but now they have the capability of saying, well, Americans can't just decide we're going to invade you without any repercussion to their own people. Previously, there would have been massive repercussions for the South Koreans, but not for Americans back home.
Now there is.
But now there is. So the negotiation has fundamentally changed. I think like there is that skepticism, is like, oh, this has happened before. But I think this is fundamentally different because they do have nukes, because they have got long-range missiles. I think obviously the Americans will want that to be taken off the table.
Yeah.
They'll want to be able to send inspectors in. They'll want to be able to get rid of those as a precondition to...
So North Korea has said they're doing no more nuclear tests.
They've suspended their nuclear tests,
Right,
and they're closing that nuclear test facility. However, scientists are pretty convinced that nuclear test facility collapsed.
Yeah.
So their test facility is under a mountain to like hide it.
But in no way have they given up their nukes or anything like that.
No. They have nukes. They're not like getting rid of them, but they're just not going to test anymore.
I see.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big bargaining chip.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't give that up without getting something in return.
Yes.
So here's the question. And they actually have done a bunch of stuff like releasing 3 US prisoners. They're trying to work out where he's going to meet President Trump. I suspect it'll be the same place. Because they were talking about Singapore, but I was like, no way Kim Jong-un risks leaving North Korea and going to Singapore.
Can he take his mega train to Singapore?
No.
Doesn't he leave? Doesn't he
Or
leave
his-
quite often though? Doesn't
or
he
his
leave
car
North
that has
Korea?
I
the
think
people
he's
running
gone to
next to him?
China.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a little different because China doesn't want him
Yeah.
to go. So that's part of the thing, all right? So this is like Donald Trump's major accomplishment, I think. And President Moon Jae-in of South Korea said that Donald Trump deserves a Nobel Peace Prize for this in
Well-
private. He managed to get China to enforce sanctions on a level that Barack Obama wasn't able to do.
Isn't that counting your chickens before they hatch a bit, though?
Yeah, a little bit. But to be fair, so was giving Barack Obama the Nobel Peace Prize 9 months after he became president.
What did he get that for? Being black?
Good question. Exactly. Like, what did he get that for?
Yes, we can.
For 9 months
being
in,
cool.
he
He had
did.
a lot of class.
Most people
Too
think
much.
it was just
much
because he was not George Bush.
Right.
He got it for not being George Bush.
Actually, I saw this morning that they had signed the paperwork to get Trump nominated this morning for the Peace Prize.
No, well, so the way it works is anyone who's a member of parliament or a member of the legislative Congress or whatever, like parliament in other countries, who's a member of some organization of countries, like don't remember what the list is specifically, can nominate someone.
Yeah.
So that's all it takes. Like, they're a bunch of members of Congress.
I was just funny because we would I remember seeing the tweet or whatever the headline. It's like, oh yeah, he should be nominated for Peace Prize, and then suddenly the paperwork's signed. Yep, let's get.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And as soon as Moon Jae-in said it, it was always going to happen.
Yeah,
because the Republicans obviously they would do it.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, I think maybe he should get it. I think he's done more. If this works, it'd be amazing.
Yeah, definitely, it's a big thing.
Like the longest running war on Earth.
It's funny. I am super skeptical. I've heard different commentaries about this sort of thing in terms of like, it could just be a ploy for China to get the US out of that area, basically.
Yeah, because one of the things on the table will be getting rid of the 30,000 US troops that are in South Korea.
And that's like, China has never liked the US being in that part of Asia. They've always wanted them gone. So it could be an interesting way to get them out. For
the Korean side, I think they're probably doing what the Chinese want them to do.
Yeah.
So I think China's basically saying, we've put these really harsh sanctions on you, and we agreed to them, so we can't just take them off. But if you make these moves, then we'll have reason to go, they've done the right thing. We can ease up on the sanctions.
Sure.
So I think they're kind of giving the Chinese a reason to get rid of the sanctions.
Sure.
Which would obviously be... I think they've been really harsh for the Koreans, but they're also like really hard to enforce, so I guess it's a lot of effort for the Chinese, and also they don't want Korea to go bad, North Korea, so they kind of want to maintain the status quo. They want to get back to North Korea getting stuff.
This is what you're doing?
You know who's not getting any credit in this?
Who?
Mark
Dennis
Zuckerberg.
Rodman. I feel like he catered this whole thing. Where's his Peace Prize? He's actually he's a good friend of Trump's, isn't he? So you think
that doesn't surprise me. But
how funny would it be if you found out that like they were texting about it and like he was his spy to go in like a year ago or whatever?
He was laying the groundwork.
Yeah.
I would like to think Kim Jong Un is like actually better than he seems.
Like smarter.
That's what it makes it look like, him doing this, but again,
there's like a plausible scenario where he's actually been trying to get it to this point the whole time. But when he first took over from his father, there was a whole bunch of really powerful family members and generals and all this stuff in North Korea that he couldn't just go, let's do this, because he's going to get killed.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he killed all those people.
Oh, no, he was super harsh. As soon as he came in, he was like,
killed his uncle.
He like blew his uncle up with an anti-aircraft gun.
Yeah.
And
what a way to go.
Also, that was when Barack Obama was putting sanctions on, didn't get anywhere because he was playing hardball. They think it might be because he'd just taken over and he needed to establish his position. But now maybe he's like sufficiently in charge to do what he actually wants to do.
Interesting.
But that's a more positive spin.
Yeah.
But we don't know.
Anything
could happen.
No one knows.
You know what else no one knows about?
Aliens?
Love.
Kanye knows
I know
about
a bit
it.
about love.
Kanye knows about
Do
love.
Does Kanye know about
What
love?
is love?
Yeah.